Click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel. Like and share this video and engage in our comments. I never meant for any of it to happen. That's the part one still repeat to myself every time I think back to how it started. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and decided to get too close to someone I shouldn't have. It just happened gradually, like water leaking through a crack I didn't notice until it was too late. His name was Ethan. 18. Young, obviously, but not in that awkward, boyish way. He was the kind of kid who walked like he had something to prove. Confident, smart, funny in a way that made people want to stick around and listen when he talked. He joined our office as an intern through a summer program. No one expected much from him, but from the moment he showed up, he was different. The first time we spoke was in the break room. I remember it so clearly. I was making coffee, half distracted by an email on my phone, and he just walked in and said, "You know, people over 40 really shouldn't be drinking that much caffeine." I turned, ready to say something snarky, but the smile on his face caught me off guard. It was playful, not rude. So I laughed. I think that was the first moment something shifted. My husband, Aaron, was always busy. Still is. He runs his own business, so late nights and missed dinners became normal. I got used to being alone, even in the same house. He didn't notice the little things anymore: new hair, a different dress, whether I seemed quiet or distracted. But Ethan did. That's what made it feel so different. He noticed. At first, it was harmless. Small conversations, quick jokes exchanged in passing. I liked the attention, sure, but I told myself it didn't mean anything. I was older, married, and he was just a kid. There was nothing to worry about. But things started to linger. One day after everyone had left the office, I was finishing up a report when he stopped by my desk. He leaned over and asked if I needed help. I told him no, but he stayed. Just talked. About music, movies, random stuff. It felt easy, comfortable. That night, I went home thinking about him, and that was the moment I should have known to pull back. Instead, I leaned in, just a little. The next morning, I found myself picking out a dress I hadn't worn in over a year. Something about it made me feel noticed. I wore lipstick I usually saved for special occasions. I didn't even admit to myself why I was doing it. I just did. When I walked into the office and saw Ethan look up at me, then look again, I felt that tiny flicker in my chest. It was dangerous, and I knew it. But I didn't walk away. Not yet. Things didn't change overnight, but they definitely changed. We were more careful, but also less subtle. I started waiting for Ethan to show up in the mornings. Sometimes I'd stall in the hallway just to accidentally bump into him on his way in. He picked up on it, I think. There was this unspoken rhythm between us now: glances held for a second too long, conversations that always went just a little deeper than they needed to. He never crossed a line. Not physically, but emotionally. I couldn't deny what was happening anymore. It was the way he listened to me. Not like I was just some boss or married woman past her prime, but like I was interesting. Like I was worth listening to. I'd talk about things, music I used to love, places I wanted to travel, and he'd just take it all in. Remember the details. Ask about them later. Aaron hadn't done that in years. One afternoon, I got a little too comfortable. I was venting about my husband, nothing crazy, just small stuff about how distant he'd been. Ethan didn't say much, just nodded. Then he said something that stuck with me. Sounds like he forgot who he married. I laughed at the time, but it hit me later when I was driving home. He saw me. He really saw me, and it had been a long time since I felt that. The weirdest part was how normal it started to feel. He'd drop by my office, bring coffee without asking. I'd ask him for help on projects I could easily do myself, just to have him nearby. We started texting, too. Not constantly, but enough. It would usually start with a work-related question and somehow drift into jokes or memes or music links. Then came the evening that changed everything. It was a Friday. Everyone else had already left early. I was finishing up some reports, and Ethan popped in, holding a pizza box. Saw the light still on. Figured you hadn't eaten. I should have said thank you, grabbed a slice, and sent him on his way. But I didn't. We sat at the conference table, eating straight from the box, talking like we always did. But there was something different that night. The room felt smaller, quieter, more private. His eyes held mine longer than usual. I caught myself laughing too hard, leaning a little too close. At one point, he brushed a crumb from my chin. It was such a small thing. But my breath caught in my throat. The air shifted. He leaned in just a little. I didn't move. But just as fast, he pulled back, sat up straight, looked away like nothing had happened. Sorry, he mumbled, grabbing his things. I should go. I nodded, suddenly aware of the silence. He left without saying goodbye. I sat there for another 10 minutes, staring at the door, my heart pounding. Nothing had happened, but it almost did. And somehow, that felt even worse. I didn't hear from Ethan all weekend. I tried not to notice, tried not to check my phone too much. Told myself it was good he pulled away, that it meant nothing. That Monday morning would come, and we'd pretend like Friday night never happened. And for a while, we did. But the silence felt different. He wasn't just giving me space, he was putting up walls. Our usual morning glances. Gone. The casual texts. Stopped. It was like he was trying to erase whatever that moment between us had been. And for some reason, that made me feel worse. The back and forth, the almosts, the stolen glances, it was addictive in a way I hadn't realized until it was suddenly taken away. And maybe it should have been a relief. But instead, it just left me restless. Then came the message. Late Tuesday night. I need to tell you something. In person. No details. Just that. I stared at the screen, my pulse pounding. A million things ran through my head. What did he want to say? Was it regret? A confession? Worse, was it a goodbye? I didn't text back. The next morning, he was waiting by my office door before I even got in. His face was different. Not flirty. Not cocky. He looked conflicted. We need to talk, he said. I closed the door behind us. I know, I said, trying to sound calm. Listen, about Friday. It's not about that. I frowned. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. It's about Aaron. My husband. My chest tightened. What about him? Ethan hesitated. Ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know when I started. I swear I didn't. But when I put it together, I didn't know how to tell you. Put what together? I snapped. Ethan, what are you talking about? And then he dropped it. Aaron's the reason I got this internship. The room spun for a second. What? I whispered. He swallowed hard. Your husband. He helped me get in. Not officially, but he pulled some strings. Said I'd be a good fit. But that's not the part that matters. My hands started to shake. What part does? He took a breath. He knows. Everything inside me went still. He knows what? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's jaw clenched. Not everything, but enough. He's been watching me since day one. He's been testing me, testing you, seeing how far this would go. He. He stopped, looked away. He told me something. I didn't want to hear it, but I had to. What? Ethan exhaled slowly, like he was bracing for impact. That if I ever touched you, he'd make sure I regretted it. I felt the blood drain from my face. My husband, the man who barely noticed me, who never seemed to care, had been watching. The whole time. And suddenly, everything clicked. The way Aaron had randomly brought up the intern program. The way he'd been more present lately, asking about my schedule, about my mood, about work. The way he'd started paying just enough attention to keep me from slipping too far away. I thought he was just distracted. I thought I'd gone unnoticed. I was wrong. And now, I had no idea what that meant. I stood there in my office, staring at Ethan, trying to wrap my head around what he'd just told me. Aaron knew. Not just suspected, knew. And instead of confronting me like any sane man might, he played some twisted game, feeding Ethan into my space like bait. Waiting to see what I would do. What we would do. My legs felt numb. How long? I finally asked, my voice small. Ethan's jaw tensed. Since the beginning. He didn't say it outright, but he made it clear he was watching. Every move. I dropped into my chair, staring blankly at the floor. All the moments I thought I had privacy, my office door closed, my phone in my hand, my heart racing around Ethan, all of it had been orchestrated. Aaron wasn't distant. He was calculating. I felt sick. So, what now? I asked him, my voice brittle. Ethan looked torn. I don't know. But you should be careful. He's not playing fair. He asked me last week if I thought you were lonely. I blinked. That was the night Aaron had come home with flowers. The first time in months. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stood up and walked to the window, trying to breathe. My reflection stared back at me, blank, cold, older than I remembered. I didn't know who I was anymore in all this. Then Ethan's voice came again, low but firm. You should leave him. I turned around slowly. What? He's manipulating you. Watching you like you're some kind of experiment. That's not love. That's control. And what? Run off with an intern? I asked, laughing bitterly. Do you even hear how insane this all sounds? He didn't flinch. No. I'm saying choose yourself for once. Before he breaks you. We stood there, just looking at each other. No words, no games, no flirting. Just the raw, awful truth laid bare between us. I don't know how it happened, but suddenly we were close. Inches apart. His hand brushed mine, and for a second, I let it stay there. I wanted to feel something real. But before anything else could happen, my office phone rang. Loud and sharp, cutting through the moment like a blade. I flinched. Ethan pulled back. I picked it up, heart pounding. It was my husband. Hey, he said, voice calm. Too calm. Don't forget dinner tonight. I made a reservation. Thought we could talk. Talk. The word felt heavy now. Loaded. I told him okay, and hung up without saying more. Ethan looked at me, eyebrows raised. I grabbed my coat and bag, not meeting his eyes. I'll see you tomorrow. He didn't try to stop me. I drove home in silence, every turn in the road echoing louder than it should have. Aaron was already waiting when I got there. Perfect smile, nice shirt. Like he hadn't been playing mind games all this time. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. He kept pouring wine, watching me over the rim of his glass like he knew exactly where my thoughts were drifting. When dessert came, he leaned across the table with a soft smile. You looked stressed at work today. My stomach dropped. I hadn't said a word about it. I hadn't told him anything. You know what helps with stress, he said gently. What? I asked, barely breathing. Aaron pulled something from his pocket and slid it across the table. A flash drive. Watching the playback, he said. I froze. I had a few cameras installed in your office last month, he continued casually, sipping his wine. Just to keep you safe. Of course. My vision blurred. You didn't think I knew, did you? He added, with a calm so dangerous it chilled me. I told Ethan what would happen if he crossed the line. You, on the other hand, might still have a choice. I stood up fast, chair scraping the floor. But he just smiled. Be careful what you choose next, he said. Because I'm not the only one watching now. I turned to leave. Then his voice stopped me cold. Oh, by the way, check your email when you get home. There's something I think you'll want to see. I didn't ask what. I didn't look back. But as I walked out of that restaurant, one thought echoed louder than all the others in my head. If that flash drive held what I thought it did, it wasn't just my marriage on the line anymore. It was my freedom. If you want more real, emotional stories like this one, stick around. You might just hear one that hits close to home. Subscribe for more.